Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's poppin'?
What's going on?
So, this is a sad day for us. Sort of sad. Exciting for you, but less, well, see, I don't know. Depends. Rick is moving to, we live in Massachusetts, but he's moving to the great state of New Hampshire.
Give it away our address.
Yeah. I didn't tell you the town. You could come find him though. Somewhere in New Hampshire.
I'll be hiding in the woods.
Anyway, he's going to go there for school.
Yep.
And we may or may not ever see him again, but he'll be here in studio every once in a while.
Yeah.
So
guest appearances.
Yeah, guest appearances, I guess. But he's not leaving the show. He's going to be.
Yeah.
I guess every podcast has a Zoom guy.
I was just gonna say, like every podcast I see, they pretty much, especially nowadays.
And if you guys listen and like our crap a little bit more, and buy our draft guide, he'll be here all the time, and I'll buy a nice studio, and you'll
be my full-time job.
Enjoy it. That's what I'm saying, dude. So anyway, today is the last day that we're going to see Rick right next to me. You will see him right next to me
ends.
Virtually. Yeah, I'm going to have all this space, room to like move around.
I know. You'll have, but you could have like 10 bubblies lined up.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I start hanging stuff because, yeah, anyway. So today we have our tight end sleepers for the 2021 season. Boring episode. I'll tell you.
We're gonna get through this together.
Yeah.
Because you still need to listen to it. It's probably gonna help you win a fantasy championship.
Exactly. But it'll probably be like 15 minutes because that is how boring tight ends are. But I say that, and then we'll talk about tight ends for 40 minutes. So before we jump into the tight ends, check our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter at the FFChamps, on Instagram at the Fantasy Champions, Facebook.com /thefantasychampions. You can like us over there. If you're listening on any podcasting platform, leave a review and then share the podcast with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, click the bell for noties and then subscribe.
Click the bell for noties.
Yeah, click the bell for noties, dude. And then like and comment down below your thoughts on the episode, any questions you might have, because we are willing to help them. Rick, can you tell them about the draft guide? I know I threw you on the spot there, but you can read my notes here.
Dude, to buy the draft guide, okay? So the pre-orders are live, as you should already know. All right. It's $9.99 for the pre-order. Okay. We got dynasty rankings. We got redraft rankings, breakouts, busts, sleepers, player projections, and much more. Maybe even... I'm not even going to say it because I don't want to say it and then it's not happening. But we got some ideas. We got some cool things going for the draft guide. So, pro, drop it. $9.99.
Did you tell me?
It's like buying a pizza.
Did you tell me this idea? Because I'm kind of excited. Just drop it on the show. No.
Okay. But yeah, no, just buy what are you gonna do tonight? Buy a cheese pizza? What are you going to Chipotle? No, stop.
You can do both.
You can do both, but you can use that money if you want.
Website.
Boom. Draft.
I know lots of people aren't Patriots fans, but Tom Brady celebrating a Super Bowl championship. That could be you celebrating
that
your
would be you
fantasy championship
because you're gonna win.
That would be me if I won the home league.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I might. I would probably like run around my house completely butt naked.
So buy it. Don't be lame. Don't be lame, man.
Don't be lame.
July 9th.
July 9th is the launch date. $14.99 is the price.
But if you get it now, it's $9.99. So do that.
Yep. So let's talk about our tight end sleepers for the 2021 fantasy football season. I say 2021 because wasn't it earlier this year that you said I was wrong?
Yeah, I know. I literally was like. I'm like, dude, it's 2020. What are you talking about?
We skipped a year. It's all right.
We kind of did. Like
COVID made us skip a year. I want to completely forget about last fantasy season, by the way. It was just kind of an anomaly of a whole situation.
Is it because you didn't win? And I did.
We both didn't make the playoffs in the home league.
True. You're right.
So, anyway.
And I lost the championship game in our listener league.
Yeah, that's fair.
To Hydro.
See, and I don't think I won a single. No, I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay. It's because you gave up.
So my I gave up. I don't think I won a single fantasy league this year, and now I got myself wrapped up in about.
That is sad. You have to. You can't be on the show and not win championships.
Yeah. Ow.
You got to make it up.
I was in I got pretty far in one, and I lost by like 1 point.
That was, I think I won 1 championship, and I think I lost 3.
I made the playoffs, and I
made 4.
I made it to 3 championships.
Out of like my 5 leagues.
You got zoinked in all 3.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Anyway.
Enough about the past.
Yeah, we're moving towards the future. So we're going to talk about a couple of guys here on this show that also happen to be tight ends, which is probably the most boring, unenthusiastic position unless you're talking about Kyle Pitts and then people rip their clothes off that you will ever talk about. The first guy that we have on our tight end sleeper list, he is all the way down at 211 on the ADP, undrafted. I was hesitant to put him on this because I don't think his ADP is going to go up. So you might just be able to like snag him off the waivers after the draft.
Yeah,
like,
I mean you could do that too.
Yeah, you could draft Gardner Minshew with your last pick with excitement.
Yeah,
and just be like, Gardner's always going to get drafted in this league, and then drop him and pick up OJ Howard because you need a tight end.
That's something sounds like you would do in our home.
I might. If somebody give me money to draft whoever they want with the last 15th pick and OJ Howard's on the waiver wire, I'll do it.
Okay.
So anyway, OJ Howard is the guy, not number 1 on the list, but he's one of the first guys that we're going to talk about. He actually was relatively good in the short period of time that he played last year. The biggest problem with OJ Howard is that he always gets hurt. So I think that's the biggest problem. But anyway, he's going into is this his 5th year in the league? 5th year? How old?
I believe so. Man? Yeah, he's still only like 25, 26.
How old is this man?
He's 26.
Yikes! I was trying to get stats and
he's
opened up some random website.
Great job.
I clicked on an ad.
Always a terrible mistake.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to avoid sometimes. But yeah, he's 26 years old.
Yeah.
Last season, playing with Brady, it seemed like they were trying to get him the ball early.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he was creating some chemistry with Brady before he tore his Achilles. He was on pace for 80 targets, 48 catches, 792 yards, and 8 touchdowns. 8 touchdowns is very good. I honestly think if he stays healthy this year, he's probably going to take over Gronk's spot for the most part.
Why are my numbers different than yours? What in the frick?
I don't know.
Are we looking
that
at
is
the
weird.
same player?
Yeah. OJ Howard. Bro.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so I think he almost, or he might take the role from Gronk, because Gronk at this point in his career is just kind of
Gronk is
there for fun. He's going to be blocking. He's going to have his game where he gets like 2 touchdowns and then he's done for the next 6 weeks. So I think OJ Howard, receiving wise, will actually get the most targets for the tight ends.
Yeah.
The thing is, and the reason his ADP is in the 200s is because 1, he's coming off a torn Achilles and he always gets hurt, and 2, there's a lot of targets to go around Tampa, and I talked about this on the last show. Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin.
Rojo /
they throw to the it's Tom Brady, so he's going to throw to the running backs. They added Gio Bernard, Leonard Fournette, Scotty Miller still there, Tyler Johnson, who had a decent rookie season, is still there.
I feel like when you look at his, because you have 80 targets. I don't even know how this is working out, but you have 80 targets.
No,
and
I have different.
I have. You probably do you do it in a different area on Pro Football Talk or whatever that freaking is. Pro Football, right?
I did the same thing.
Anyway, so he had on my sheet 76, but I guess you could. So let's just say he had 80 paced out targets per 16. Is yours per 17?
It might be. No, per 16.
Whatever, man. so either way, I don't think he's going to get past 100 targets by any means. And I think if he catches 50 passes and gets 600-700 yards,
it's not going to be about targets with OJ Howard.
Right.
So it's going to be about efficiency and touchdowns.
Right, but I think he can get somewhere around 700 yards and then that 50 catches. So he would be right around, like, I want to say 100 fantasy points there, and then if he catches 8 touchdowns, 7-8 touchdowns like he was on pace for last year, he would have around 150 fantasy points, which I think in what is it, half PPR leagues, he would probably end up being I'm trying to find the stat, but he would probably end up being a wide receiver, a tight end
for 150 fantasy points. Yeah. I mean, something like that in that range.
So 150 fantasy points would slide him right at like tight end 5.
That would actually slide him at tight end.
Well, yeah,
4, but I don't think that's happening.
But yeah, I don't think that's happening. So I think there's a very real
also
possibility
that, like, extra week here for tight ends without Kittle.
Right. So I think 7 to 10 is probably a range that
It
you
could
might
happen.
see him. That you could see.
It legitimately could happen. And I'm not saying it will because, again, his ADP is so low, and there's a reason it's that low.
Yeah.
But he has potential to be a top 10 tight end, low end.
Yeah.
But like that 9-10 range, like I think he can do it if he stays healthy.
I agree. Let's talk about the next guy. He's a little bit on the younger side, but Cole Kmet coming into his second year. I'm having a tough time with this one.
Okay.
Because I do like Cole Kmet. I have always liked Cole Kmet. He was one of my favorite tight ends coming out last year. Who's in the Hunter Henry? I mean, not Hunter Henry. He wasn't in the Hawk draft. He was the year after. Right?
No, he was last year. He was the number 1 tight end taken.
Yeah, so I love this guy, and I thought he was really good. And I didn't think he went to I don't think he went to a bad spot. It's just a matter of, so Rick likes him, not specifically because of the new man on campus, Justin Fields.
It helps,
but it does help. The big thing with Cole Kmet is that I think he's probably, I like to use if you haven't listened to this podcast before, I like to use a little bit of, it's just kind of a stupid analysis, but I like to figure out where in the offense this player is going to end up being targeted. You know what I'm saying? So he ends up you might have 3 wide receivers, but your talented tight end jumps over those guys.
Right.
So you might have a wide receiver 1. In this case, it's Allen Robinson. Is your wide receiver 2 better than what your tight end is? And if that's the case, then your wide receiver 2 would get the second read, I guess. So for me, I'm trying to figure out what guy is going to get the second read. And this is how I projected the Darren Waller breakouts, the Mike Gesicki's breakouts, the TJ Hawkinson breakouts, because I'm able to look at a team, say, this is where this guy is on the read chart.
right?
And this is what he's going to get for target share. So Cole Kmet's one of those guys where he could end up being, I don't think he's better than Darnell Mooney because I love Darnell Mooney.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that he is definitely going to end up being the third read in the offense for either guy. And if that's the case, there's a good opportunity for him, especially when you talk about the tight end 4 had 140 fantasy points last year. Just hot garbage. But then you look at the end of his season when he actually started getting starts and targets, was right around I want to say week 13.
Right.
13 to 17, he was pacing out to 96 targets, 64 receptions.
He gets 96 targets again this year.
And the efficiency was garbage because Mitch Trubisky blows. But
he only had on pace for 3 touchdowns. Not going to happen. 477 yards,
exactly.
not going to happen. Those things are going to go up.
If he gets around 65 catches and 600-700 yards, similar to what who's the last guy we were talking about? I already forgot. But anyway, he gets more than that 3 touchdowns and gets 6-7. OJ Howard, thanks. 6-7 touchdowns. He could definitely jump into that conversation of tight end 5, 6, 7, 8, and be somebody that's really good. And at ADP 140. In 10 team, your 14th round, and in 12 team, 12th or 13th round, you're going to end up with a really, really great steal at tight end. This is one of those guys that I'm in on this year, similar to, and I'm still trying to analyze that because I want to make sure I nail my tight ends every single time. But Cole Kmet's definitely in that conversation. Now, Rick likes him a lot more. I'm reserved more specifically because I don't like buying players in trash offenses. And I still think even if our man's Justin Fields comes in and plays, Chicago's just not going to have a good offense this year. And who knows, maybe Justin Fields comes in and he lights it up and he ends up being really good. And, the offense ends up, that's what they need to rejuvenate it. But as long as Matt Nagy is making play calls and running that team, it's not going to be a good offense. And that 3 touchdowns might stay. That 477 yards on 64 catches might end up staying. And if that happens, Cole Kmet might not end up being the guy, which is why I'm not entirely sold on a breakout season for the guy.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely a sleeper.
For sure. He's definitely a sleeper either way because his ADP is right now gold. It is gold mine. He's the tight end I'm targeting. I don't know, maybe it's just my thing with second year tight ends.
Yeah.
Last year was Hawk. I think the year before that was Mike Gesicki and someone else. I don't remember. But every year it feels like since I've been doing this podcast, I love those second-year tight ends. This year it's Cole Kmet. Next year maybe it's Pat Freiermuth. Who knows? But yeah, Cole Kmet.
Kyle Pitts.
Well, it won't be Kyle Pitts because
because Kyle Pitts is going to get drafted in like the 8th round, and everyone's going to be like, yeah, Kyle Pitts, and he's going to catch 50 passes and end up like the tight end 8, and everyone's going to be like,
we'll see, bro. Your Kyle Pitts hatred is.
I don't hate Kyle Pitts.
The negative energy.
Do you really want Kyle Pitts to be elite this year? Because
no, I don't. Because I don't have it. I tried my hardest to get shares of Kyle Pitts, and because I love Kyle Pitts, on this show, I've been the guy that defends him and everything. But people love him even more than I do, which is saying something.
Yes.
Like he's the 101, and almost every rookie draft I've done, he's either the 101 or 102.
And it might be me just hating the people who love Kyle Pitts that much.
Maybe it's that. Yeah.
He has been crowned
first round in dynasty startups.
He's been crowned the heir apparent to Travis Kelce, and we haven't even seen him
hasn't
play a snap in the NFL.
No, that's very true.
Like let's just chill out a little bit. I'm all about getting excited.
Najee, dude.
Najee is like my guy. I might draft him in the 2nd round because I'm a freaking psychopath. But he hasn't played a snap in the NFL.
Yeah.
People who drafted Clyde last year.
Anyway, back to Cole Kmet. Yeah, they're gonna. I mean, no matter how you feel about Fields, I think you can say he's probably gonna be a
100%
quarterback upgrade over Andy Dalton. But let's look at last year. Cole Kmet had 44 targets.
Andy Dalton's got some gas left.
Yeah, totally. He had 44 targets last year, but he didn't start until week 13?
Yeah,
where he was on pace for about 96 once he became the starter. Last year, Jimmy Graham had 76 targets and 8 touchdowns. That is not going to happen again in 2021. I personally believe that. Some people think Jimmy Graham is the killer for Cole Kmet. I don't think so. I think Cole Kmet overtakes Jimmy Graham this year.
Yeah.
And if he does that, that's 8 touchdowns right there. That can go to Cole Kmet. Not all of them will go to Kmet. I think Jimmy Graham still will be involved.
And the argument, too, for that is kind of stupid because he took over the job from Jimmy Graham at the end of the season. The Bears were fighting
I do think in the playoffs, though, Jimmy Graham, they were both involved, though, in the playoff game, if I remember correctly. So,
but Jimmy Graham's old as dirt, so I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I think Mooney and Robinson are still the top 2 guys, obviously, but to me, Cole Kmet will slide right there as that 3rd guy. And if Fields, man. So that's ignoring Fields. So, like, even if Fields stinks or Andy Dalton is the guy, Cole Kmet should have at least a decent season and is worth a sleeper. But if Fields starts and is good, if he's what people think he is, if he's Deshaun Watson, I mean,
it could be fantastic. You could end up with a
pants
steal.
Are off.
Yeah,
pants are off.
He's excited. Yeah, and we also have to because a lot of the redraft leagues that we do, we don't even draft until like September. So a lot of drafts happen in August, but like we want to get through training camp preseason.
You've been burned.
Yeah,
no, it's fair because I don't want to be burned.
Partially because I got burned.
None of us want to be burned,
but it's not just that. It's also the fact that you get to see finalized rosters.
It's sort of cheating, but sort of not.
Yeah. Well, for us it is because we follow far too much. But anyway, yeah, it's like you get that late in the season. You get to see all of training camp, all of preseason. You know where guys are. The Bears most likely will have announced a starting quarterback at that point. You can make a fair decision on whether you want Cole Kmet or not. Like if they go Andy Dalton and they're dead set on that path of Andy Dalton, like I don't even get it. I don't understand. Your team blows without a quarterback. And Andy Dalton is not your freaking solution, Matt Nagy. So get off your high horse. Like at least with the Patriots, Cam Newton can do something. Like Andy Dalton can't do anything. Yeah. Start Justin Fields. But anyway, yes, if Justin Fields is starting, then Cole Kmet does get a bump.
Yeah.
The next guy that we have is Evan Engram. Rick is a little bit more concerned about this guy than I am, but I think he's had injuries. He's been disappointing, and it's pushed him all the way down draft boards.
You mean the OG drop king?
Yeah, the OG drop king. It's pushed him all the way down the board to 125 ADP. So the 125th pick off the board. And we've liked Evan Engram in the past. Like Rick has been an Evan Engram guy. The changes to the...
I wouldn't say I was an Evan Engram guy.
Okay, well, you liked him.
I liked him.
So that would make you an Evan Engram guy. I didn't call you a truther.
Okay,
a truther. Hey, a truther is different.
Rookie tight ends.
Stop it.
Stink. 115 targets. Rookie season.
Okay,
115.
Fair, but Atlanta has people to throw the football to, and Anyway,
Just saying.
He didn't really work out that season, by the way.
He was
I
good.
think he was like, why did
That was his
tight end
best
11?
season, actually.
Yeah. But anyway, last year he had a lot of targets, 109 on the season, to be fair. But the big thing for him is 63 catches, 654 yards, which is all good. The big column that he didn't have success in was his total one touchdown.
One single
touchdown on the season. And I think that was just because their offense was hot trash.
Absolute garbage.
With Kenny Golladay coming in, Saquon Barkley coming back, some improvements made on the offensive line. We talked about this before. I still think Evan Engram, with his talent and his ability, is probably, I want to say, the second or third guy in the offense.
Okay.
And I feel like a lot of people are fading him, but if he does hit anywhere around that 109, 110 target share and improves, like he isn't the drop king, and he actually catches 60% of his passes, he might have around 65 to 70 catches, around 650 to 700 yards, and maybe 5 or 6 touchdowns if he can get into that ballpark. He ends up being a top 5 tight end, like he was supposed to be last year and the years before. But this time you're getting him as a dirt cheap value. Now, worst case scenario, nothing between rounds 11 and 15 end up working out. So you just drop Evan Engram and you call it a day.
Yeah. Some things definitely scare me about Evan Engram. I think his one saving grace for me is that one touchdown. As you mentioned, I think that's going to go up. Like, no matter how you feel about Evan Engram, he's not, if he plays 16 games, he is not going to get one touchdown. He will get more.
If he gets those same exact numbers, if he gets the same exact numbers, what was he last year with where he landed?
Not great. Tight end 16.
Yeah, tight end 16. So if he gets,
in 16 games played.
Let's just, in 16 games played, you're saying that's so gross. 109 fantasy points. So give me a number for touchdowns.
5.
5 touchdowns? He ends up being...
And that's like kind of lower end.
He ends up being the tight end 8 right next to Gronk. You give him one more, he ends up being the tight end 5. So he just needs touchdowns, really, to get into that conversation.
I think he's going to get those I think he can get like 5-6 touchdowns. Is he going to get 63 catches again, though? I don't know.
He was the number 1 target in that offense. Like I think Sterling Shepard's a vacated option.
Shepard was really... He had 90 on 12 games played.
Yeah.
Evan Engram
He's
had
still
109
there, right?
targets, yes. Everybody's still there. Well, actually, Golden Tate's not there. So there's 52 targets that are vacated.
Yeah,
that's probably all going to Kenny Golladay. And Galladay's going to get like 100 targets.
Yeah, he's going to get over 120 targets. I don't think Slayton's going to get 96. One of Slayton and Shepard are going to die.
I think Slayton's going to...
And I think Evan Engram's going to take their target share. Like, I do think that Evan Engram will get over 100 targets. I
don't think Ingram's necessarily going to take target share, but there's a chance
he's not going to lose it. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's a chance he could stay. I mean, I'm not as crazy about the player as I have been in the past, and I think there are still a lot of mouths to feed. I still think Slayton is not going to get 96 targets, but he's still going to be involved. Sterling Shepard is still going to be involved. Kenny Golladay is there. Saquon Barkley is someone
I would be honest.
Like he's going to get 70 targets.
Right.
He's going to get a lot of targets. Now Wayne Gallman had 27 last year, and Deion Lewis had 30. So that's 57 targets. So between the running back position, yeah, I don't think Barkley gets a little bit more than that, but maybe they throw the ball more. Only 517 pass attempts. Yeah. By the way, Daniel Jones had probably one of the grossest seasons
I know
I've ever seen.
And I think the whole season collapsed when they lost. He was getting blitzed out the wazoo.
Yeah, they
crushed because their offensive line blew. And the only thing that makes it so that Daniel Jones doesn't have that kind of pressure on him is Saquon.
Yeah, defenses did not care if they wanted to run. They were purposely playing the pass. And it was like,
but that's the thing is, I think there's going to be improvements in that offense.
This is his last chance, though. If he's still
Daniel
stinks,
Jones,
he's
he's
out of there.
But Evan Engram, the biggest thing is like if he was an 8th round pick, similar to where he's been in the past, he would not be worth it for me.
I'm not even neither of us even said Kadarius Toney as a threat.
Yeah, that's fair. I love Kadarius Toney, by the way, but
I think he's honestly like he gets a lot of hate, and I like him as a player. It's just like fantasy wise, like he's just
it's not going to be there this year at least.
Right.
So anyway, Evan Ingram's like I said, if he was an 8th round pick, I would be out. I would be like, see you later. I'm not doing this. But he is pick 125. He's going in the 12th, 13th round.
Honestly, the tight ends that are
him.
ahead of him, I think he is getting slept on.
Yeah, so I definitely think he's a sleeper. Let's move on to Jared Cook and then talk about Tyler Higbee really quickly because I don't want to spend that much time on him. And I wish we'll talk about Jared Cook really quickly too. So Jared Cook is a really gross one. I'm not excited about it at all. Last year he finished
He's an old man as well.
He's an old man. He finished as the tight end 17. He was a lot better than people thought. If he played the extra game, he would have been somewhere around.
He
tight
had
end
a
10.
stretch because he had like 6 games in a row where he stunk, but then he had like 6 games in a row where he was great,
really good,
and then he got hurt.
And I think with the absence, this is purely because of him signing with Los Angeles and them being absent. Hunter Henry and him leaving.
Yeah.
The targets that Hunter Henry had are most likely going to Jared Cook. If not, they're just going to get spread out elsewhere.
And even so, even if they don't all go to Cook, like Hunter Henry was heavily involved in that offense. So Cook just needs to get majority of that in red zone targets.
Yeah.
And boom.
Right. I mean, it's as simple as that. And I think that last year there was like Rick said, there's a stretch of time where he was like a tight end 6 or 7,
right?
And everyone was like, "Where is this guy coming from?" If he ends up performing for Los Angeles like he did New Orleans over that stretch of time, he could definitely be a decent. I think he's a streamable tight end, but I think he's a guy that's going completely at this point in a lot of leagues, in 10 team at least, he's going completely undrafted. So I think that if you want to take a flyer on him in the 15th round, he ends up getting the Hunter Henry target share. I mean, he could end up being a decent option as a sleeper.
For sure, man.
But it's not an exciting pick.
It's not, but he's getting slept on. I mean, starting tight end for the Chargers with Justin Herbert as quarterback, he might be and
he might come off this list altogether, to be honest with you, because I don't even like him that much. But
yeah, but he's in a good situation.
Yeah,
and he played well last year for a good stretch, so he has the opportunity with the Chargers. This is probably his last chance, so he's 34 years old, which, again, for a tight end or receiver is so old.
Right. So let's talk about the next guy in the final.
Okay,
guy,
Tyler Higbee.
Which is Tyler Higbee.
Tyler Higbee.
Really quickly on Higbee, I like him. I'm not excited about him. He had he had all this hype last year, and I didn't like him at all because there's so many targets there for Los Angeles.
I agreed. Yeah, I did not like him last year.
and everyone got on the hype train, and what, lo and behold, what happened? He wasn't good. So, I think he had an okay year. If you want to
he was like Jared Cook pretty much, wasn't he? Right behind him.
18
in the same amount of games played.
But now you have an offense with Matt Stafford coming in. And you have a situation where there's some vacated targets there, and he might end up being the third guy in the offense.
Right. I mean, that's the whole argument.
If that's the case, and he's the third read, then there's a good chance that he gets a lot of targets and has an opportunity to be a really good tight end in 2021. But you have to temper your excitement because if Van Jefferson starts taking off, Tyler Higbee is going to be garbage. So I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but it's just not worth it.
They have more vacated targets than I think a lot of people realize. They have 176.
Yeah.
Gerald Everett is a big part of that, but I mean Higbee, he can get some of those. And I'm not saying Tyler Higbee is going to get 100 targets because he's not. I mean, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Cam Akers will be involved in the passing game. Van Jefferson might take a step up. They'll use Tutu Atwell, not enough to really make a big dent, but he's just another guy there. So, but Higbee, his target share I think should go up a little bit.
Yeah,
with Gerald Everett gone, and then you could see his efficiency go up with Matt Stafford, who is an upgrade over Jared Goff, and he had 5 touchdowns last year. I mean, there's a real chance. If Matt Stafford has a great year with the Rams, I mean, could you see a 7-8 touchdown season from Tyler Higbee?
Yeah, and probably like a top 6 finish. Like, this is one of those guys that
it's gross, but
Higbee and Kmet are 2 guys that I'm looking at more specifically that could end up being those, the breakout tight end. How many years has Higbee been in the league? 5, 6?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, so I don't know. But
he's in prime though.
The class in 2020 was not good for tight ends. Like, not that it
the
was
Cole Kmet
horrible,
class.
But it's like Cole Kmet and Adam Trotman are probably the 2 better guys.
Harrison Bryant, bro. Cleveland Browns.
Harrison Bryant
but
and the Cleveland Browns.
He's not really like he was honestly better than Austin Hooper for a good stretch last year. Hooper was garbage.
Yeah. I think Higbee is his ADP right now is 116. So, and I probably I feel like that's going to move backwards. I would suggest that would move backwards a little bit, but
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a guy that you can
But
see.
even at 116, I mean, who's going ahead of him like Logan Thomas?
Yeah,
Like,
yuck.
I would take
So,
Tyler Higbee.
yeah, I would take the flyer. But anyway, they're your tight end sleepers for the 2021 fantasy football season. It's an interesting list. It'll probably change before the season.
Kind of a gross list, but
Yeah,
you gotta learn it, bro.
I'd rather have like 3 tight ends on the list than anything else. But anyway, I think we have rankings next week. So let's check that out.
Can't wait for that. See you guys later.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.